Hello, today I'm going to be talking about my journey from where I came from to now. And if you already don't know, my name is Cami. I am a brand designer / strategist, and here on YouTube I do tons of passion projects and hopefully more talking videos like this. So yeah, let's get started. So my journey started in the second year of my marketing course. The course was to create a brand extension. And within that, we covered the visual side of branding. And that is really where I was exposed to graphic design and branding. To gain extra marks, I decided to learn Adobe Illustrator to create a presentation, as that was on the brief that a custom or personalized presentation gains more marks. And then during that time, COVID hit and I started a mini business, which was to sell t-shirts with illustrations on them, as at that point I knew a little bit about Illustrator and I really got into it from my degree for the presentation that I did, and I was creating t-shirts, well, the illustrations for the t-shirts. So what I created on the t-shirts was Disney princesses on poles and hoops, as my target audience was the pole and aerial community, and actually ended up selling a couple t-shirts. It wasn't a lot, it was maybe 5 or 10, but it was a start. And then I got into Fiverr, which I totally don't recommend at all. Don't use Fiverr, it's terrible. Anyways, I got into Fiverr, as well as a friend messaged me to create something, as he knew that I did a little bit of illustrations and what I did wasn't terrible. And that's my first paid job, was to create a mascot. And then that is when I also created my Fiverr account and I started creating some stuff for my friend, and I posted that on Fiverr, and I ended up getting a couple people. I remember my first job on Fiverr was again a mascot, and it was a panda in a suit or something like that. It was a weird time back then, and I progressed on Fiverr. I ended up being I ended up having a couple sales. On Fiverr's terms, if anyone knows, I was a level 2, I think, which is quite good. So I ended up doing a couple of these jobs, which they weren't bad jobs for Fiverr. It wasn't £5 jobs, but it wasn't £100 jobs either. But I ended up progressing from creating mascots to general logos, and then during that time as well I got onto Upwork, which I offered very similar services like mascots and logos. And then I totally quit Fiverr and Upwork, as basically they were really bad. There is no protection for the designer, and that ended up really hurting me, as I ended up having a couple bad clients and I was not paid for the work that I created. So yeah, I totally don't recommend these sort of sites, as you're not really protected by these sites. They're basically using you, and most of the people on there, they don't expect to pay a lot. Upwork is a little bit better. If you're really needing the money, I would totally recommend Upwork a bit more than Fiverr. Although both the sites, totally horrendous, I hate them. No protection, and that's all you need to say. When I quit those sites, there was basically no way of really promoting myself, so I really started to get on Instagram. That was my main communication with anyone. And what I posted on there at the start was I did a logo challenge, and that's what I started to post. And then I was on YouTube and I found someone called Kel Lauren. Kel Lauren. I'll leave the link below. I'm terrible at names, sorry. Anyways, I saw her video and it was creating a brand from scratch. And I think that was one of the first times I was like aware of the whole branding and like really seeing it. My boyfriend ended up recommending to me to start like the whole branding thing when I was still like on Fiverr, but I was like, no, I want to do mascots. This is what I want to do. So yeah, but when I actually saw the video, I really enjoyed the process, and that is when I really wanted to start YouTube, and that's when I started. Around that time, I started YouTube, and that is really where I started to improve, as I was following the same sort of process of creating a logo, and then like the color palette, and then all the other assets, and like using mock-ups. So that was a really big boost for me. Starting YouTube was such a massive thing for me, as I definitely improved so much. So I created like a couple videos on YouTube, and then I found Abi Design and I saw her videos, and that is where I really saw the ins and outs of like branding. She really explains her videos quite well and showing her process and stuff like that, and that is where I developed my process from. So that made me quite confident with like my process within branding, and that is where I started to listen to more podcasts. I listened to tons of podcasts, but the main one that was like, I would say the most helpful that I listened to was the podcast with Abi Design and Wildflower Design. Mainly because they spoke about strategy, and they spoke about Carli Anna and her 10k GG gang, or her brand mapping method, and that is where I was exposed to her, and that is where I wanted to start doing strategy. So I started to do like a little bit of strategy. It wasn't nothing mainstream, it was just like dabbling in it. And then I finally ended up buying the brand mapping method by Carli Anna, and that is where my whole world was basically shook. Strategy is so important, and basically this is where we get to now. I've done tons of videos of my branding. I don't cover strategy in them, as basically it's difficult to do the strategy without having like a person there, an actual client. And the point that I'm at now is repositioning myself. I'm repositioning myself from targeting small businesses to more medium businesses that have the budget for branding and strategy. As of now, I haven't had the full branding and strategy clients, so hopefully we will do soon. So yeah, that is my journey basically. I never had any specific formal education. I'm fully self-taught. So yeah, and this was only within like a year or so. It's been a very short time, and I've learned so much, especially from making YouTube videos. So if anyone is thinking of doing YouTube videos, definitely recommend it. It was the pressure to make a video, and what I did was obviously all these passion projects, and that is why I improved by making tons of passion projects. So yeah, I think this is all of my journey, I think. But I think it's very important for you guys to know that you don't need any formal education to get to anywhere. A lot of people, I feel like, in the design community actually don't have any formal education, and it's totally fine to just start and do tons of passion projects, as that is like the best way to improve. So yeah, one thing that I definitely say, do passion projects, don't do Fiverr, don't do Upwork. Promote yourself on Instagram. and all the channels that you think that your target audience is on. So yeah, that is the end of this video. I hope that you enjoyed this little talking session about my journey. I hope that I haven't forgot about anything within my journey that was like the main key points. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.